Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about season 2, episode 6, titled We Might As Well Be Strangers, air date October 26th, 2004, and the synopsis is
Peyton meets record shop clerk Chris Keller, who turns out to be the only good musician for the club's auditions besides Haley. Coach won't listen when Lucas suggests to reconsider an eye operation. Lucas learns Anna is Felix's sister. Nathan gets a once-in-a-lifetime invitation for the High Flyers basketball summer camp. Now that her parents are financially ruined, Brooke decides to recruit Felix as her boy toy and is forced to hold a garage sale.
So, did you see how it goes from the previews from the last episode to right into the intro theme song?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been happening lately for the most part. Yeah, so they have Lucas narrating again as he's walking through town.
I love that. I love hearing Chad's voice.
Mm-hmm. And then he dumped change into a well. Was that the change that him and Anna probably got the night before? Like you returned it?
But didn't they dump it? I don't know.
We just saw them get change. They had to get $5 in change for some reason, but we never saw what that was for.
Yeah,
unless that was a dare
dumped
itself. Yeah. I mean, that was just the change she got from the night before, now that they were done with the night.
It must be, because Lucas wouldn't just steal.
Right. And then at Felix and Anna's, they're about to walk out to head for school when Felix sees Anna. He asks if her skirt's a little too short. And after she gives him a look, he says he's just looking out for her. She just wants to get to school, but Felix says that they can as soon as she discovers pants because first impressions are important and hers stay open all night. He was kind of the one to talk with his first impression on everybody at school, but
especially Brooke.
Yeah. So then Anna says she'll just ride the bus, and Felix says to her that he's just playing, but she keeps walking. And she tells him he's being mean. And Brooke was leaning against her car watching the whole scene play out.
So Brooke, she it's kind of weird because she hates Felix, and Anna was going against Felix. You would think she'd be supportive of Anna.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's never met her, but wouldn't you be like this is so good that because she finds out that that's his sister. Well, she's kind of like, oh, they kept going after you, like recreate. It's like it just threw me off because I was like, wouldn't you be supportive then of Anna that she has to deal with Felix and that she isn't like him? But she's not. I got the wrong impression then. I don't know. I got a different impression from Brooke. It seemed like she didn't like Anna either. And I was like, you never met her. You don't know. I mean, she doesn't even know that she's trying to go after Lucas. You know what I mean? She doesn't know any of that. She only knows that, this little altercation with Felix. So you think you'd be like, this is good.
Yeah, I think she was just assuming that she was one of his friends with benefits. So I think she was just.
But when she finds out that she's not, she still is like, yeah. And it's like, why are you still acting like that?
Maybe because she just assumes that Anna's just like Felix.
Yeah, but you could tell that they were going against each other, though. That's what I'm saying, is it wasn't all good. I don't know. I just didn't like Brooke in that little part of the scene.
Right.
Also, why does she keep waiting around for Felix? It's like she really does like Felix. Because if you hate someone that much, you wouldn't be spending all that time together.
And then Felix mentions he was thinking about the whole friends with benefits, Felix with Brooke. And Brooke says, IYFD in your dreams. I don't know did she say FD? I don't know, anyways. Dan is at the doctor's doing tests. Physical therapist is talking about seeing Dan play in a game back in the day.
I'm like, so this bothered me. Dan bothered me because Dan was um, he was all for talking about his high school days. Because when the guy was like, "Oh, like you scored this," and he's like, "Oh no, it was 37 or whatever it was, or 30, whatever it was," and then like he was all happy. But then as soon as the guy brings up college, did you play
Mm-hmm.
college ball? Then, Deb steps in, and when the guy walks out, Dan's like, how am I supposed to, you know, get better when I've got this guy like trying to like show me that my best days are behind me. And I was like, hmm, it threw me off because Dan didn't act like when he was talking about the high school days, he didn't seem bothered. He loves talking about himself. So he loved that the guy was like bragging and loving him in the high school days. It was as soon as he got to the touchy subject of college that made Dan mad. And I was like, you were happy. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think he was just putting up the act for the physical therapist.
I don't know. He loves talking about himself though. I only saw that he got bothered when he said, did you play high school or did you play college ball? Because Dan's best days were in high school. It's when he brought up college that made Dan get mad.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think the touchy subject was high school. I think it was college.
Right. So then Dan asks Deb, how is he supposed to,
That's what I
well, like you
said.
said, yeah.
Yeah.
And Deb points out that he's doing fine. He tells Deb she must be happy because she won't have to wait on him anymore, and says he's not going to put his life on hold waiting for a phone call. And then he brings up the meteor shower this weekend and asks Deb if she wants to watch it with him at the beach house. And how she's been there for every step of his recovery, and he can make dinner, but she says no thanks.
Though Deb is very gullible.
Mm-hmm. And then Payne goes into the music store where a worker that we later know as Chris Keller says they're closed. Payne says she knows. She was just wondering if she could put a flyer on the board.
If they're closed, why is the door unlocked?
Yeah, I don't know. That was stupid of Chris.
Like if you're doing inventory or whatever, why is it like the door would be locked?
Mm-hmm.
She would have to knock on the door and then you would say we're closed. You can't just walk in
Mm-hmm.
and it be closed because that would mean you're open.
Right. I don't know. We know later on that he's not very bright, so maybe that was part of it.
But maybe he just saw her and said we're closed.
Yeah. So she says she has auditions for bands to perform at a local talent night for all ages. And Chris is the womanizer who tells Payne she can put up the flyer if she takes her shirt off. And then he's talking about the emo crop she likes. It gives punk a bad name. And then Payne comes back with those who can't do sell records, and then asks if he insults all of his customers this way. And Chris says that since they're not really open, she's not really a customer. And Payne says whatever, she's going to school.
Well, I mean, she's not really a customer though, right? She didn't buy anything either.
Right.
Which he could have threw that in her face too.
Mm-hmm. And then Payne said it's not real punk to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning doing inventory. And Chris says
He
he
said
never
never
went to
went to
sleep.
sleep.
Yeah. So she just puts the flyer up and walks out.
He never went to sleep. He's awfully, I don't even want to say cheery because we know he's not cheery, but he definitely doesn't act like he's tired.
Right.
He just acts like a jerk, which we all know is what he is, but definitely didn't seem tired.
Right. Okay, so then at the dealership, Keith calls Jules. He has to remind her who she is, playing coy. And he says he's the guy that took her on a drive. He claims he's calling her for a follow-up customer satisfaction survey. And he asks on a scale 1 to 10, how happy was she with the service? He says the guy who helped her was really nice and kind of cute, but he waited a whole week to call her, and when he did, came up with some lame excuse about a survey. And she gives him a 10. He asks if they could bump it up to an 8 or a 9, maybe over dinner tomorrow night. And Jules says maybe if he comes over to her place and cooks for her, and he says yes to that. So I was surprised that she invited him to her place to cook in her kitchen for her.
When she doesn't really know him.
I mean, he did say that and he still has his place isn't unpacked yet. So I get that, but it's just still kind of weird that she wouldn't do the cooking herself or help, since it's her place. Because I would feel weird to just let him do whatever, you know, or in my own place. And then the
So
next
yeah,
scene,
that is weird cooking in someone else's.
mm-hmm. Next scene is Whitey in his office testing his eyesight when Lucas drops by. He asks Whitey how he's doing. He replies like a schoolgirl in springtime.
So I did like how they didn't forget this plot line
Mm-hmm.
because remember we talked about how it's kind of like his surgery just kind of went away,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't. It's here.
Right.
And Lucas is trying so desperately to get Whitey to have surgery.
Right.
And of course, he's totally against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Whitey asks if Lucas knows how his wife died. So apparently she had died in surgery. And he even gives the estimate of 20,000 people who do a year, and he doesn't plan on being one of them.
Well, I mean, I was when Whitey was like, you don't know how, like, do you know how my wife died? And it's like, he's a teenage boy. No, he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of us do. And then he was
Right.
like, in surgery. Oh, well, okay, but that's understandable why you don't want surgery now. Like, we get it, but you didn't have to be mean about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't know. Lucas is only trying to help you. He's trying to just say he doesn't want you to go blind.
Mm-hmm. Well, before it was mentioned that he had a tumor that was messing up his vision, so they kind of did drop that part.
Yeah, so did
It
the
wasn't as serious,
so did it go away?
I guess. Like if he didn't have the surgery, he would have been blind, but then I don't know if the tumor would have killed him. I don't know. They didn't really give too much detail of what was going on besides for his vision.
Well, and it's like too, it- it's not like he just doesn't want eye surgery. I'm sure he doesn't want any surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So even if he had a tumor anywhere else, like if it led to his brain, I'm sure he wouldn't have brain surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, but you'll just die from not having surgery.
Right.
And also so his wife died how long ago?
He said the same time around Peyton's mom's, and we know that Peyton was 9 when she died. So yeah, the last 7 years ago, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's almost a decade. I mean, surgeries have changed and gotten better,
Mm-hmm.
and we also don't know what type of surgery she had.
Yeah, he
Was
didn't go
it
into
a
detail. Yeah.
routine surgery, or was it one that was complicated? Because that's also a difference.
Yeah, because we don't know if she had cancer or what was going on with her. So,
Right. I mean, I wish we would have known more of that because if he would have said she died from having eye surgery, that's trauma.
hmm
So of course you wouldn't want that. But at the same time, if it was something like, brain surgery that it was like the first time doing it, then that's risky.
yeah,
I mean, brain surgery, I feel like is risky
hmm
no matter what.
yeah,
But one wrong thing and
yeah.
you're
Something's
either,
gone.
well, yeah, something. So, but if it's routine, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But I mean, any surgery is risky.
hmm Yeah, but he just tells Lucas to turn around and get out of his office and mind his own damn business. And the next scene is with Brooke and Peyton in the hallway. Brooke is excited for the all ages nightclub and says it's going to be, going to roll. Payne says not according to the jerk at the record store. Brooke is confused on who Payne is talking about. But before Brooke or Payne can tell Brooke what she means, we go to another spot in the hallway with Nathan and Haley, where Nathan sees the flyer for auditions.
Apparently Haley plays for him at home. These
Yeah.
people have a lot of time on their hands for people that have supposedly
Mm-hmm.
jobs, school, practice. I mean, I know basketball is not in session, but you should be practicing on your downtime
Mm-hmm.
if you want to play college.
Yeah, keep in shape.
So I'm
And
just
then
like, but they're supposed to be working to pay their
yeah.
bills. These people have a lot of time on their hands.
Mm-hmm. And then Nathan mentions to Haley that she should perform at the club and she says no, because it's one thing to play at home for him, but it's another to get up on stage in front of a crowd to do it. And then Whitey walks up and tells Nathan there's a letter for him that went through his office. I don't know how that happened exactly. And then Nathan asks what it is, and Whitey says, how the hell is he supposed to know?
I know,
He's,
wouldn't go through his actual address, his home
yeah,
address.
yeah, it should. Like, if not the apartment, then his parents' place. So yeah, I don't know.
No, he's emancipated.
Well, sometimes mail can be slow and they don't get the update info. So, you know. Then in class, the teacher is talking about meteor showers, but everybody's talking. Lucas isn't paying attention and look at the pictures from the photo booth of him and Anna. Just then Lucas finds out he's wanted in the office, and then he ends up outside where Anna is waiting for him.
So going to Lucas in class. So I watched this on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Yeah.
I saw that, you know how when it shows all the episodes and it has, a picture of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Thumbnail.
Okay, so it had Lucas with his head up, because he's getting called out.
Mm-hmm.
In back, it looked like Brooke and Peyton. This is the one on HBO when you're not watching and it just shows you all the episodes. And I was like, I did not see those two in the class. So I rewatched that part, and when the door, when whoever it is knocking on the door, whatever, and the teacher goes open, it then pans backwards and it's to the back of the room, and it looks like it's Brooke because she has like, dark hair, and the shirt Brooke was wearing in, the later couple scenes later. But then when it goes back to Lucas, I never saw that clip again. Like I never saw two girls looking like them in the background because it didn't shoot from that side. Like what
Right.
we
Yeah.
saw was not from that angle.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah.
So, and I replayed it like 10 different times trying to figure this out because I was like, I did not see that.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's from a deleted scene or something. I don't know how they get these thumbnails exactly if it's not the exact um copy of the episode or whatever. Yeah, I don't
Because I
know.
was like, that, because when I rewatched it and he got called and his head goes up, it's from the left side, but this picture looks like the camera's from the right side.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, huh? You can't see that.
Right.
And they focused on him. So you wouldn't see whoever's in the back. Plus, they weren't in the back. So I was very confused.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Um,
I was
well,
confused on how
but
Anna got Lucas out of class and she's out of class as well.
well, I know. Did she? Well, how did and also how did she know what class he was in unless she's stalking them?
Unless they talked about their class schedule when we didn't see it. I don't know.
Because I'm like, unless you followed him or unless you were standing there and he walked into that class,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't know what period he's in.
Yeah, because it's not like she's friends with anybody else that, would have known too and would have told her if she asked.
Right. And,
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows her. I mean, Brooke just met her that morning, but that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, like, well, she said she stole the note, the pad or whatever
Oh.
to
Mm-hmm.
get out of class. But I'm like, you would have to then probably pay somebody to go to the classroom and give it to the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because first of all, nobody is just going to do it without getting paid in case they get in trouble.
Yeah, unless she gave the note to the teacher and pretending like she was working in the office or something.
Yeah, but it didn't look like I thought maybe it was a guy handing the teacher.
Oh, I don't even remember. Yeah.
And she was already way outside. Like I feel like if Lucas would have got up, he would have caught her
Yeah,
like
that's true.
walking away.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she probably like gave somebody $5 and said, "Hey, can you go take this to this teacher?"
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I just thought that was odd. And then it was weird because when the teacher said you have to go to the office, he then heads outside. I was like, this don't look like the office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
it
I
was
don't know
all
how he
weird
got
to
there.
me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she says she's sorry she didn't call him after dare night, and she tells him to let her explain why.
Wasn't it only the next day?
Mm, I don't know, because Jules said that Keith called her after a week. Something that's a week now.
But how has Brooke not seen Anna in a whole week?
Yeah, I don't know.
She lives next door.
Mm, yeah,
So Brooke, or not Brooke, Anna never comes outside.
I guess not when Brooke's out there, no.
And it's just odd to me that you wouldn't see, the family next door,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're seeing a lot of Felix. Anna comes and goes too.
Right.
And they all go to school together, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I
How
don't
would
know.
Brooke
Yeah,
not run into her?
yeah, it's a writer's scene that they messed up on.
Or how would Lucas not run into Anna this whole time, like all week
Mm-hmm.
long?
Yeah, even if she's like in a grade below, he should have at some point, like maybe lunch even. So,
Yeah, it's just weird to me that these people aren't running into each other.
mm-hmm.
Oh, and I thought Felix might have I don't know, I didn't realize he was right next door to her
Right.
until this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she says he owes her that, and he owes her, and she says she got him out of science after all. And then she
Where
says,
he should be learning.
yeah, she says her brother's kind of overprotective because they haven't gone to the same school in a few years. Um, so they were in different schools. Like that's what confused me. Like, was she going to a woman's school? I don't know.
All girls.
Yeah, I don't know.
Possibly because especially because he was like he didn't like what she was wearing
Mm.
and she could wear that at an all girls school.
Yeah, if they have uniforms. Or
But,
I was thinking about yeah.
well, it's a little different when you go and you're around boys because
Yeah,
then obviously that's what they're going to look at
yeah.
because he is one.
hmm
Um, so yeah, I'm thinking probably she went to an all girls and she doesn't realize what high school boys are like.
Yeah. So this is when Lucas puts it together that Felix is her brother. And she says she told Felix that she hadn't met any guys because she doesn't want to have to deal with him. So she didn't call Lucas and says sorry again. She figured when Felix saw those pictures of them in the photo booth, he
I
let
liked
Lucas
when
know
he
he
said that he never
was.
gave him the pictures. I like that
Right.
part.
Yeah.
Well, because it shows her too, like you care more about me than winning a game.
Right. Yeah, that's what Lucas says. It was more than just a dare night for him.
Well, because a regular high school boy that's like Felix or Tim or whoever, they would definitely use that to win a game, a stupid game.
Right. Yeah. And then Karen is doing work somewhere on the pier when Andy shows up with coffee for her.
Just the same pier that Nathan and Haley were at,
I don't know, probably.
same bench.
hmm And then he says that he thought he returned the favor since she's been giving him free coffee when he goes to the cafe. And then Andy says if she's available to watch the meteor shower together, he would love that. And
That sounds
then
more
she
like a date.
yeah. And then she asks if it was just gonna be the two of them, and he says he could schedule a class field trip if that makes her feel safer. So I did like that part, he was taking her feelings into consideration if that was too much for her. And but she just
Yeah, but he said a
explains,
school field trip.
yeah. She
Like he
says
was
that
making a joke out of it.
yeah, I don't know. I took it the other way. And then she says it's just going back to school is a big step for her. And he gets that she doesn't want it to do anything to screw it up, like dating a professor. And he tells her he wouldn't be asking her to hang out with him if he thought it was going to compromise her studies or his job. And then she doesn't
Um,
want to hang out.
I loved when he said, um, when he, was like, oh, tomorrow night and everything. And then he goes, you can bring Lucas if you can't find a sitter.
Right.
And then she was like, oh, that won't. And he goes, I'd love to meet the little guy. And
Mm-hmm.
then she said, oh, that won't be a problem. But I was like, okay, when did she ever say he's little?
Right. And she didn't correct
And
him.
Well, yeah, she didn't say anything, but also she never said he was in elementary.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, if you heard she's in her 30s, I mean, yeah, she could have a 5-year-old, but she also could have a teenager.
Right. And then back in science class, the teacher is still talking about space while Nathan and Haley are having their conversation
I
about high
loved how
flyers.
I loved how you could tell it was, I'm sure it was a different period of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was the same teacher, but a different class. I like that.
Mm-hmm. And then, Nathan saying that the best players work on their skills there and that he was invited to go. Haley says she's really happy for him. He deserves this. He's worked really hard. And then a couple of rows
Brooke.
over, yeah, Brooke asks Peyton
Seemed
if he
like Brooke was
could get
right
any
next
worse.
to Haley though.
Yeah. And then, her love life is non-existent. Her parents are having a yard sale to sell everything they own.
What did you think when she said being poor and horny is no way to go through life?
Right. Yeah. That just seemed you know, a very rich girl problem, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised that she did keep her car, considering they sold like even the little tiny items. Yeah,
Well,
that's the whole thing with you know, Andy and Jack's family too, when they lost their finances, their money, they still have their cars.
the fact that in the same episode she's having a yard sale,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't selling her car for thousands of dollars be more beneficial than selling a couple $100 worth of a yard sale stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know how
So
they
I'm
let
just,
her do that.
it's just weird in the same episode.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be one thing if her car was already gone and they said, we still need more money. So now
Yeah.
we're going to have a yard sale. Not in the same episode. You get your car, but we also need a yard sale. Get rid of the
Mm-hmm.
car.
Right.
Brooke doesn't need a car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Payne tells Brooke she may not be rich, but she's still Brooke Davis, the most popularly studious girl in school. Brooke says maybe, and how is she supposed to have fun? Payne says boys won't care about the poor part, just as long as she tells them about the horny part. Brooke says to top it all off, if her parents go broke, she might actually have to study to get into college, meaning that her parents are going to buy her way into it. So,
Just like, what's her name?
yep, Audrey.
Yep.
And then Peyton flips through her textbook until she finds a picture of her and Lucas in it. The one she somehow didn't see before for the last, what, 2 weeks, a month since they broke up, maybe?
And the fact that, okay, well, then it was weird. It was kind of creepy. Felix, his couple seats
And,
ahead,
and he's
and
staring at
he
her.
is just staring at her. And then it was so weird
Mm-hmm.
because she's talking. She's looking right at him and talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know what I mean? It was just kind of weird. I'm like, he knows you're talking about him because you're literally staring right at him and talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. And I'm sure he's getting some words that are coming out of your mouth. Because too, he wasn't like that far ahead. I'm sure he could hear what's going on behind him.
Right.
They weren't exactly quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And, no one's listening to the teacher.
Right.
So I'm sure he heard some things.
Yeah. Yeah, so she says she needs a little recess, and just then the teacher says, "What do you get when two flaming stellar bodies collide?" And then we
Brooke
cut
and
to Brooke and
Felix.
Felix. Yep, in the janitor's closet. And she's going over the rules while she's
How they
unbuttoning
get
his
in there?
shirt. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it was unlocked or keys were nearby. I don't know. Yeah, so she gives him the rundown of what this is and what it isn't is. It's just purely physical. They're going to have sex. It's going to be safe sex, and they're friends with benefits, and they don't even need to talk. And at the auto shop, Nathan is telling Lucas about the new girl in his algebra class named Anna.
Um, so where are they?
Nathan and them?
Yeah,
The River Court, wasn't it?
where are they?
I think so. Maybe.
No,
Yeah,
weren't they working on a car?
I don't know. I didn't write it down this time where they were.
thought they were working on a car together, or um washing one or something.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, because I was curious at why Lucas was helping.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, he doesn't have a job.
Right. Well, he did
Like,
tell Karen he was going to help out at the cafe, so.
well, yeah, but he ain't at the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's Nathan and Haley's car.
Yeah, it has to be. And then, oh, at the auto shop. Yeah, I put the
Yeah.
auto shop. Yeah, they were at the auto shop.
Oh, you said the river court.
Oh yeah, I was thinking it, but I was thinking of a different scene from before. Yeah, so then Lucas, he asks Lucas if she's the Dare Night mystery girl, and Lucas says yeah. And also happens to be Felix's sister. And then Nathan says nice for some reason, then asks if he knew about that, and Lucas says he just found out this morning. And Nathan tells him not to hold it against her. She can't help it if her brother's an ass.
As Lucas couldn't.
Hmm. So do you think that Felix and Anna kind of have that same kind of sister sibling relationship that Dan and Keith have, because Felix can be self-centered like Dan,
Maybe.
and Keith and Anna are like the more, smarter sibling and actually care about others.
Yeah, but it sounds like in this episode, Dan was never not like that.
Right.
So no. I mean, now as grown adults, yeah. Like
Mm-hmm.
if Felix keeps going, then yeah, they'll turn into Dan and Keith.
Right. And then Lucas brings up high flyers, and he says, what he wouldn't get for 3 months in Florida playing basketball at that camp. And Nathan asks if it's really 3 months because him and Haley can't live off of Haley's cafe paycheck. So I'm surprised Nathan didn't know this information already, even though Whitey gave him the envelope with it, that he should have read
Him
by
and
now.
Haley were reading it.
Oh, I didn't even see any other talking about it,
So it
but
didn't say it in there
it
because
should
remember he
have.
was showing her. It should have said for 3 months. It starts this day, ends this day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have an issue with this.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with Lucas. Um, like Nathan has worked his whole life. You're gonna give it up to spend time with Haley.
Mm-hmm.
But you want Haley to pursue music.
Right.
Why can't they both go after their dreams?
Because they don't want to be alone, I guess, from each other.
But if she's focusing on music while he's away, how is it bothers me. They should
Well,
both be focusing on their dreams. Okay, so one of them gives it up. Okay.
mm-hmm.
You know
Mm-hmm.
how much 10 years later that is going to haunt them?
Like Dan, kind of.
Yes. If Haley doesn't do it, she'll have those regrets and probably hate him 10 years later. Nathan, same thing. This
Mm-hmm.
is why, especially because they're in high school, you go after it's 3 months, especially if she's focused on music,
Mm-hmm.
not gonna be focused on you too much. Yeah, she'll miss you. But if you're both doing this, that's the thing, is if you love each other, you should both want each other to do it and make a plan and go after your dreams.
Right. I think Nathan's debating it because he knows that Haley has her stage fright, so he thinks if he's not there to push her, she's not gonna do it at all. So that's it too.
Okay, we'll get something from Dawson's Creek and tell your brother to watch over her
Mm-hmm.
and push her to go do it. He's the best
Yeah.
friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, Nathan. You're going to give it, like, I agree with Lucas. You worked your whole life. So what? One day you can regret her and
Right.
regret the decision.
Mm-hmm. Resentment.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what every girl dreams of.
Right. And then the next scene, Lucas finds Whitey out on a bench. Whitey asks what Lucas is doing there, and Lucas says he just wants to say hello. And Whitey says he said it, like he could go now. But Lucas tells Whitey that Nathan got into high flyers and couldn't have done it without him, so he thought he'd care to know.
No, he doesn't care. I mean, he's happy, but he's a grump.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas goes to walk away, And Whitey doesn't have much response to that. And he tells Lucas the mistake he's making is to think that he cares about him, but the team, about anything. He lost the only thing he cared about a long time ago.
He
Lucas
does care
says,
about the boys. It's really annoying.
yeah, Lucas says he has a picture of the team in his room from the 500th win. The man in the photo looks like a guy to him that still
Oh,
cares about something. Yeah, so they need him, but not just to win games. They need him in their lives. Whitey says nothing to Lucas, says nothing, so Lucas tells him to have the surgery and still nothing, so Lucas walks away. Yeah, so the next scene is with Haley and Nathan, where Haley tells Nathan that she figured she could call Karen to see if she can stay with her and Lucas for a little while until he gets back or rent a room from her.
so then they wouldn't have a house when he comes back?
Yeah, so I was thinking like they wouldn't have an apartment then, or
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm like, you would have to give up your apartment then if you're
yeah,
gonna rent a room from Karen.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
weird.
that's bad. Yeah,
Um, I also didn't think that Karen had 3 bedrooms.
right.
She doesn't. I mean, when you think
Hmm.
of the future, there's
Yeah,
she have 3 bedrooms?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either.
Yeah, because I remember Lucas was having a thing with the master bedroom in his room where, him and Payne could be at, but
Right. That's why I'm
yeah.
like, really?
Hmm. Yeah, and then she says she'll pick up extra shifts at the cafe. Nathan says she works enough already. She tells him he's
She
going to camp.
does? She's never at work.
Right. Yeah. She says he's going even if she has to sell a kidney. And then says she wishes she could go to Florida with him. That was
See,
my question too. I mean, like, still they have the apartment thing problem going, but
my problem is she said you're going, but the problem is she didn't have to say, but I wish I could go.
hmm,
Because that's going to make the person feel bad
yeah,
and not want to go. Like if you're telling somebody to go, you don't say, and I'll miss you. I wish I could go, blah, blah. No, because it's only going to make them say, never mind.
right.
Any hope that you had of them going is now gone.
Hmm. So then they end up passing by Brooke's house while her family's having a yard sale. Brooke is yelling at someone to be careful with something. And then she walks over to Mouth and asks if he found anything. She
Okay.
missed
It
stuff.
was funny because Mouth was like, yeah, I found this picture frame. And she was like, okay, you can just have it. And he was like, no, like I gotta pay you. And so he pays her. And then he puts it in his bag or whatever, and it's a picture of Brooke.
Yeah, because he had it hidden so she wouldn't see.
Well, but how are you giving up picture frames with pictures in them?
Yeah, that's what I said. So this just shows that her parents didn't even care that Brooke's picture was still in the frame before putting it out for sale. And it was kind of a bit creepy that the picture was the only reason why Mouth wanted to buy it too. So
Well, he's got a thing for Brooke.
I know, but it's still kind of, weird for him to buy it without even her knowing.
Well,
So
especially now that they're somewhat friends.
yeah, it's I think even more creepier.
But I'm just like,
Oh,
who leaves their pictures in the frame to sell?
her parents, I guess.
I guess. I mean, it doesn't even really seem like her parents are home. I feel like they probably just left. It was like, here you go, Brooke, because she seems like she's
Running it.
in charge of it.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
feel like they just sort of left
right.
because she doesn't say like, hey, let me go talk to my mom and yell. Like she doesn't go like charging after her mom or anything.
Mm-hmm. Brooke goes to talk to Haley and Nathan. Haley says that she won't buy anything because they're friends. Brooke says it's okay because her pride was sold around 8:30, and she'd rather see Haley wearing her clothes than any of the 50-year-old wannabes. Yeah, so Haley looks around when Brooke asks, Nathan how he's doing it, like giving up his family's money to be
Yeah,
poor.
well, I didn't like that because she's like, how could you do it? And he's like, what? And she's like, give up your family's money to be poor. And I'm like, Brooke, come on now. Like now you're
Hmm.
just showing who you are. And it's
Yeah.
not a good light. And then he
Hmm.
was like, money can't buy love. No. Like Nathan, you're in high school.
Hmm.
I'm like, at some point, is he gonna act like a teenage boy? No.
Right.
But then she sees that But then isn't it that she sees somebody wanting to buy her dollhouse?
Yeah, and Felix was there to see it too.
Hmm. Of course Felix would go over there though.
Mm-hmm.
But how'd you like when she said the pool is closed?
Right, yeah. So referring to the way that they met.
So if her parents, okay, to be honest, like let's be honest for a second. Her parents are that poor.
That they're selling the dollhouse or
No. Why don't they just sell the house?
yeah, I don't
The
know.
house, that house is huge.
Mm-hmm.
They could get a lot of money for it. And the fact that they're not even putting the house up for sale,
Mm-hmm.
let's have a yard sale. That'll get you a lot.
Right.
I mean, really? Sell the house.
Yeah, I guess it's like Brooke's car. Like her parents would rather have the house than anything at all, anything else. So
But how much money do they think they're gonna get out of this?
yeah, I don't know. And we don't know how much they lost, so it's hard to
Plus,
say.
plus they have to pay off Brooke's credit card, which she's racked that up a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then with the dollhouse too, the price tag had a 150 tag on it. And Brooke says it's a misprint. The one should be a four. And sure enough, the woman gives her a check for that amount.
Okay, I wouldn't even buy it for 150.
Right.
Like when I've seen doll houses and stuff
Mm-hmm.
around our own town, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's no way I'm even giving you $100 for it.
Right. Unless
Um,
it's like, really one of those detailed ones with the little furniture and realistic stuff in it, like really well done, maybe.
but I'm like 450.
Right. Yeah.
You lost me.
Mm-hmm.
But also like I do get where Brooke's coming from of it being sentimental.
Mm-hmm.
Like is she ever gonna play with the dollhouse? No.
Right.
But do you want it to go to somebody else? No,
Mm-hmm.
because I have one
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a plastic one.
Right.
It's a nice wood one that was built.
Right. Yeah.
And and my grandpa made little desks and like little like bed, like he made all of that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so I can never get rid of it. And I mean, my niece and nephews play with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, like, don't touch, like, don't break it. Um, but also, I mean, it's gonna go with me. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I'll never get rid of it. I'll pass
Right.
it down, but I'll never get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I get where she's coming from by it means everything to her.
Yeah, that was sad how one of the dolls fell out of it when the woman was taken away. So Brooke picks it up, and that's when she asks Felix to meet her in her room in 5 minutes. So it's
And
like
see,
every.
but well, I don't like that she can't feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of feeling sad and pain,
Mm-hmm.
she uses sex.
Right.
Like I want her to feel like that's what a person does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's convenient that every time she feels this way, Felix is already right there.
You're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. And then the next scene is with Lucas at the river court alone. Just then Anna walks up and tells him he has to hang his wrists because apparently she also played basketball. And then she asks if he wants to play a game of hog. He says with every shot he hits, she tells him something about herself, and she says, "What does she get out of it if she wins?" And Lucas says, "What does she have in mind?" She says, "If she wins, they watch the meteor shower together. If he wins, um, then they still watch the meteor shower together." And then the next
So
scene is with,
I've played horse before and everything.
mhm,
And then like, you can make up any word, like a long word if you want the game to go for forever.
mhm,
And but I've never played it where you have to like share things about yourself.
right,
I just play it. And then it took me back to when I was a kid when she was like granny style, because when I was little, like that's how I played.
mhm. And then the next scene is with Keith and Jules. They're at her place. He says he brought wine, but she likes beer.
How'd you like when she had broke it, the
Right.
caption. I like beer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah. And she's impressed with his cooking since it's not even his kitchen. So yeah, like I said,
What? How is she so impressed? She hasn't tasted it.
right. Like it says, he knows his way around. So I
Does
guess
he?
watching him cook, I guess, yeah.
I don't think he knows his way around,
Mm-hmm.
given what happened.
Mm-hmm. And then he says that, he would love to have dinner at his place, but everything is still in boxes from his move back. And she asks Charleston, right? And he says that he thinks if he doesn't unpack, then the move can still happen. But
So
how does
apparently
she?
told her,
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, how does she know Charleston?
but he never
So
questioned it. So he must have
yeah,
told her.
I don't know. I think that was maybe the first little, at least for the audience, to kind of get a little um flag, or something's going on that we don't know, or he doesn't know specifically, but
No,
she knows.
because he acted like he told her because he's like, yeah. And it's like, so apparently in their maybe on the phone, he told her.
Yeah, maybe. I just thought maybe he just didn't pay attention, and that was kind of a telling of that she knows more than she lets on. So
Or he
like that
likes her too
was,
much. He's ignoring everything she's saying.
yeah, like I thought maybe that was like showing that she's like kind of playing her trick. And then an alarm goes off, and sure enough, Keith burns some food that was in the oven.
But it was funny because he was like, "Oh, is that your timer?" And she was like, "No, that's the smoke alarm."
Mm-hmm.
I thought he knew his way around the kitchen.
Right.
And I thought he was a good cook. Isn't that what
Mm-hmm.
she said?
Yeah.
Well, apparently not.
Mm-hmm. So she says she would just love IHOP. And he says, perfect.
How did you like how they said IHOP?
Yeah, it's kind of random because I've never heard anybody say that in a show before.
No, me either.
It's like usually McDonald's, or, something that we're more familiar with, Taco Bell, even like in Mean Girls. But yeah. And then back to Anna and Lucas, where he makes a basket, and Anna admits she didn't tell Felix she was going to the river court tonight, but she's
Why
going
does
to.
he need to know? Is he like
Yeah,
her
I don't know.
dad that he needs to, or she needs to tell him? I didn't like that because I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't personally need to tell my brother everywhere I'm going, and I didn't then either. When I was in high
Hmm.
school, I would have
Hmm.
to tell my parents, but not my brother. That's just weird.
Hmm. And we never see their parents, so maybe it's kind of like he kind of raised her, maybe that kind of overprotective thing.
Or is it that he's older, so like they're out of town or something, so he's in charge of her till they come back or something?
Yeah, something. We know they're Doctors Without Borders, so
Oh,
and
they
they're
are. I
opening,
didn't listen. I must
yeah,
not
and
listen
they're
to that.
opening a clinic in town that we don't see, but I guess they're just busy with that, maybe. Yeah, so then Lucas confesses that sometimes he's selfish and he doesn't always give back as much as he gets. He misses his basket, so she wins. And then at the band rehearsals, or not yeah, rehearsals, they're not going well. And not rehearsals, auditions. Haley's with Peyton judging. Peyton suggests that they should just call the club Club Suck. And they tell the act in front of them the usual sayings that are more neutral and less like you didn't make it. She was the last of the people that signed up for auditions. Haley says that they can go with the balding wedding band or the bad ballad guy. And Payne says, great, so Club No Name has no acts. And then
I
just
like
then,
that. Yeah, just then she gets the email, and it's from Nathan,
yep,
and it's Haley singing.
yep. And Haley, yeah, so when Haley realizes it's her, she tells Payne it's a virus, so she wouldn't play it. But Payne stops her from messing with her computer. Yeah, so Payne loves it. She doesn't know why they even had auditions. She's awesome.
Yeah,
And
but
then
then
just
in
then,
walks Chris.
yep,
I love it.
yeah, and Payne calls him rude record store guy.
How do you like how he just starts singing?
Yeah, he and playing the guitar that's convenient that's there for him to use. And then Peyton and Haley like it, and especially Haley because she wants him to go on so she doesn't have to
So
because of her stage
I
fright.
I loved this scene because
Mm-hmm.
he's up there singing, and Peyton is trying not to like it. And
Yeah.
so she's mad. And
Mm-hmm.
Haley is just sitting there like mesmerized. And I was like, this is hilarious. You get someone that's happy and someone that's so mad. I was like, it's so funny.
Yeah. Because Peyton hates him.
Mm-hmm. And then Haley's like, he's good and stuff. And she's like, no, he's a jerk. And it's like, well, what does that matter?
Mm-hmm.
What matters, I thought, was how good they are.
Yeah. So
Well,
then
and then she's
Haley,
like, well then Peyton's like, well, I have you. Like, I don't need him. And it's like,
right.
why can't she can have both of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's supposed to be for like a nightclub. They can't just have one act that performs like several songs that are maybe be like an hour max. They need something to be like a few hours at least.
Well, wouldn't you want a few different people?
Yeah, so I'm saying they need a longer set list to go on longer, or else it's gonna be a short concert. Yeah, so Haley introduces herself and Payne to Chris and tells him he's great. He says he knows, because he's condescending like that. The next when he see play, Haley says 7:30, but Payne adds that they saw a lot of really good people today, so they call him. Chris asks if he's not emo enough for her, and then he tells Haley he hit her song and it's not bad. So I was surprised he was able to hear that from that distance when he walked in, but
No,
yeah.
it was loud when
Oh,
he
okay.
walked in.
Yeah.
But I
And then
did like when
Haley,
Haley said, Peyton, you're not dating him.
right, yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
As in, just let him play for the, night, which is,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to see him again. Just let him play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and put the club first. And then the next scene is Karen and Andy walking where Karen says she thought they were going to watch the meteor shower from his yard. And then he tells her it's actually his yard that they're walking on right now. She doesn't believe it at first until she realizes he's not kidding. He explains he bought it a year ago and his house is only half a mile away.
I I I mean, I definitely agree that this would be his house. I mean, the dude is rich.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised he didn't buy the town.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine having a yard that big because I could not even walk that distance, if I was doing something or even, if I wanted to plant something, it's like half a mile away apparently from his
Well,
house.
I was just thinking that as they were walking of how many people can hide in the yard.
Yeah, and it
Like
didn't look
you,
like it was gated off either.
well, and you go out at night
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden somebody comes out.
Right.
It's like, that doesn't sound good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
just, there's a lot of hiding places in that yard.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of plants, a lot of bushes, just a lot of hiding spots.
Yeah. And then we get Andy's backstory about how he ended up in the States from New Zealand.
This is
Yeah,
weird because
so
then he says that, tells Karen, like, did you know there's a One Tree Hill?
yeah, I was looking for that. Yep.
I was like,
Um,
oh, like how it's brought up.
yeah,
Did you like how they said One Tree Hill? Like, I mean, I know it's a song, but it's like given the title because it's Tree Hill.
right. Well, I checked and it is a real place, like you said. So
Well, I've heard the song. The song is played in the finale.
right, I didn't pay attention to the song, but yeah.
Well, and I know because they say One Tree Hill, but
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. So I think he knew about Karen and being like a single mom at that point just made him respect her more from being raised by a single mom himself.
Yeah.
That's probably something he like,
Well,
admired about her.
she said your mom must have been quite a woman.
Yeah. And then they finally get to their table in the huge yard. It's between a water fountain and a lake, just right there in the yard.
Of course it is.
Hmm. And then the next scene is after Brooke and Felix had sex in her room. Felix is getting dressed when Brooke says she can't believe her parents sold her dresser. He asks if she has anything to drink, and Brooke answers water if the plumbing's still hooked up. And then Felix asks if she's sure she's okay with the whole friends with benefits thing.
So they're gonna take away the plumbing, but they're not gonna sell the house.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, they just love that house for some
So
reason.
sell everything in it, not have electricity, plumbing,
Water.
anything, but
Yeah.
but yet we're not gonna sell the house.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like when it's been like in the family for generations or what. They never explain why her parents wanted the house so badly. And then, Brooke asks why she shouldn't be, and Felix answers because most girls he knows aren't able to hook up without the emotional entanglements. And then that's when Brooke tells him about, try having your boyfriend hook up with your best friend and see if that's not tangled enough for you. And, Felix puts it together about it being Lucas and Peyton. And then Brooke says she doesn't know why she's telling him all this. She thought that she made it clear that they don't talk. If she wanted to have a conversation, she finds someone with half a brain. And he said he did mention it was friends with benefits, and she tells him not to kid himself. His only advantage is living 30 seconds away. So no friends, just benefits for Brooke. She tells him to close the door on his way out.
So
And then,
Anna and Lucas are talking,
mm-hmm,
and she's like, and that makes Haley your sister-in-law.
right,
It's like,
yeah,
yep. I
mm-hmm,
like how he was finally opening up.
yeah. And then right before that, we saw Whitey in his office, getting an envelope that had the newspaper article, this 500th win that Lucas was talking about in a frame. So he gave that to him to remind him that he does have something to live for. Yeah, so then Lucas asks what's Felix deal anyway, and Anna says he's not as bad as he seems. He asks why
Right.
didn't she tell Felix about him, and Anna says it just never came up. Lucas tells Anna he likes her, and if they hang out, he's just going to like her more, but he doesn't want to sneak around. She has to talk to Felix. So this is kind of like the same situation, kind of with Haley and Nathan kind of sneaking around, but now Lucas is the one that's sneaking around in a relationship. With
Yeah.
with the brother of the girl he's
Mm-hmm.
with. And then back with Keith and Jules, Keith says he never thought he'd have his brother to thank for a night like this. Jules says it must be different going from fixing cars to selling them. Keith says that he always had it in his plan. He had the idea to open up a dealership long before Danny came around to it. He just didn't have the capital. But
So
when he,
this is where you learn that Dan was actually a nice guy back then, because he said that Dan then opened up the dealership with his wife's money, and he, as in Keith, taught Dan everything about
mm-hmm,
cars.
yep,
And it's like, and then he said, but I wouldn't have done it if I knew what a ass he would be.
yeah,
And that's when you realize that he wasn't that person, because otherwise he wouldn't have done it.
right,
And I'm like, that's why they all fell for him back
mm-hmm,
then, because he
yeah,
was a good guy.
mm-hmm,
It's crazy how things have turned.
yeah,
Do you think he turned after seeing how close Keith and Karen were raising Lucas?
maybe, yeah,
Like Dan's like, that should have been me.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah,
But then did you like how it, like, when it zooms out, they're in the car, but they're actually not. I mean, they're in the dealership, but they're not
on that
actually like
ramp,
on the road. Yeah, they're on the ramp, not really
mm-hmm,
driving.
yeah. I wouldn't know if I would want to be on there because I would have a fear of the car going backward and crashing. But yeah. And then Haley gets home to find where Nathan asks about how the auditions went. She says he didn't have to send Payne the MP3. Nathan knows Payne liked it, and Haley says she's mad. And Nathan points out to Haley that she wouldn't hear it from him. Besides, he's supposed to believe in her when she doesn't believe in herself. That's what she has always done for him. So Haley says she's not mad anymore, then says maybe she'll play when he gets back from camp. And then Nathan mentions that he
He
actually
didn't get
didn't
in.
get, yeah, all of a sudden.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
that it was a mix up and a mistake and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and he actually didn't get in. And I'm like, what? Like, I can't with you.
Right.
Like, you're giving up your dream. I don't get it.
Yeah, this is kind of like Jen and Henry, except they weren't married, but same situation with the football camp
But what did I say?
that he should still go. Yeah.
Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
here, why
Yeah.
can't Nathan go?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't
Yeah.
Haley work on her music? Like, if this is what you want, do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Because in 10 years, you're going to be Dan, hating your life.
Yep. And then, she says, since he's not going, she can play her music now. And then
It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's driving me
mm-hmm.
nuts.
Yeah. So then she spots the meter, but Nathan missed it. We see Karen and Andy sitting at their table, holding hands, watching Dan
How
and
did you
Deb.
like how she reached over and grabbed his hand? I was like, oh,
Right, yeah. And then Dan and Deb are watching from the beach house. And then
she
Whitey's
looks
even
like she's
watching from the
cold.
football field. Yeah. Whitey's watching from the football field. Keith and Jules are making out in the car still. Jane is watching from the steps of No Name Club. Anna and Lucas watch while laying down on the ground at the river port. And then Brooke watches from her front step, and so does Felix. She sees him and he sees her, but then Brooke looks away and he smiles and looks back at the sky. And then back at the beach house, Dan explains to Deb about the meteors and he points, just telling a story.
So it looked like everybody was watching but Peyton.
Yeah.
Peyton was like the only one that didn't have a scene that she was watching.
I mean, she was watching from the steps in No Name Club, like I said.
I guess I missed her watching. I saw everybody else watching.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dan is explaining the stars to Deb and how the other one's protecting his wife. And he says that she's chained at the wrist, just like in the story. And they were leaning close to each other until Deb says it's late, they should get back home. And then Dan says that they've had a lot to drink, so maybe they could spend the night there.
How
And
did
Deb,
you like though when she said she never thinks and he said, I grabbed our overnight bags. Who
right,
just randomly has a overnight bag ready to go?
Dan when he wants to get back with his wife.
Because it's like I have to, if I'm going somewhere, I have to pack my bag. I don't just have a bag ready, do you?
No.
I was like, that's weird to me that you just have a bag ready.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then,
so
but then he said, he'll sleep in the guest bedroom.
Right.
See, but she's given in.
Yep. And then Lucas drops Anna off at her house. She asks him what time does he want to sneak around tomorrow night in a joking manner.
So at first, when it shows them pulling up and everything, and then it shows after they kiss and everything, I was like, then you see Felix, and I was like, was he there at the beginning? So like I rewatched it, and but it was too dark to like see if somebody was actually sitting there or not. Because he was just all of a sudden there.
Right.
But then wasn't Brooke sitting out? So wouldn't Lucas had, I don't know. I just feel like Brooke probably would have seen too.
Yeah, or maybe she went inside before.
Or wouldn't she see out her window?
If she was looking out, yeah. But maybe she wasn't.
Well, and for Lucas, isn't it a little weird to drive up to your ex-girlfriend's neighbor's house?
Not really, just because he was dropping Anna off, but it was risky since Felix didn't know about them, but yeah.
I don't know, it's just kind of weird because Brooke was right next door.
Yeah, so I put Felix does see them on the steps and from the steps and in front of his house, so he looked angry.
Yeah, but I didn't see him on the steps until they kissed.
Then
Did you?
Yeah.
And you saw him on the steps?
Well, not necessarily. I just saw him looking at them, so I figured he saw them.
After they kissed.
I don't know. I can't remember.
But I'm saying they didn't show anyone sitting there before.
Maybe he was just out of frame. I don't know. So then Anna walks into the house. Felix asks her if she got anything at the mall. She says not really. He says that's a first. And then she says she went out with a friend. Felix asks as if she kisses all her friends, and Anna asks if he's been spying on her. He asks Anna if she likes Lucas, and Anna says she doesn't know. It was the first date. And then Felix says half the kids in this town were conceived on the first date. And then he adds that he doesn't know. Is that true? I don't know, maybe. And then Felix adds that he doesn't know how much she knows about him, but he's done some things. Anna says that's no secret. He told her he screwed up some things up. And Felix says, yeah, Payne while he was dating Brooke. He tells Anna Lucas will do the same thing to her. He's a bad guy. Anna says, no, he might have made a mistake, but he's not a bad guy. She's willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. It would be nice if Felix could do the same for her. And Felix says that's how guys like that get away with stuff. Girls like her giving them the benefit of the doubt. She walks away. So I did see Felix's point here. After learning that information about Lucas, I would be the same way if it was my sister or niece or nephew or something, and I knew that person cheated before.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're not going to listen to you. And you just have to let them be. And then you just have to be there for them when it happens.
So then Karen gets home to Lucas, waiting for her in the kitchen. Yeah.
Oh my God, you could see like Lucas in the future as a dad.
Yeah, so she turns on the light.
Sick, yeah. And it's 1 a.m. And it was funny because when he said, "You're grounded."
Yeah.
And then she finally like caught on and she was just like, "What time did you get home or something?" And he said, "Oh, about 5 minutes ago."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I guess we're both grounded." And then it was funny because she was like, "Do I really sound like that?"
Right.
Which they don't have the typical mother-son relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of somewhat more like they're friends
Right.
than a mother-son.
Mm-hmm. And then the next day at the beach house, Deanna's making breakfast, but Deb walks in and says she can't eat. She has to go home. And Dan asks what's the hurry. They'll go back in a few hours, and she says they won't. Being out here in the beach house was a mistake.
Oh my God. Because then he gets the phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my doctor. And then the doctor is telling him like, come meet with me so we can go over like your next steps. Like
Mm-hmm.
as in you're doing better.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets out the phone. I'm gonna have to stay with you longer.
Yeah.
I was like, Dan, I can't.
Yeah.
Like you're so
Dragging it out.
manipulative. I can't even stand it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so annoying. And the fact that Deb is just going along with it, it's like, Deb, talk to the doctor.
Yeah. I mean, they're still technically married, right? So she would still have the right to, know his medical history, or
Yeah.
if he gave
And
her permission, yeah.
She's in there every time the doctor has previously talked and
Mm-hmm.
the physical therapist. So you would think the doctor could say something to her because she's been around it the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's just, dragging it out longer so she can take care of him and like keep her, as his wife as
Well,
long
and
as
win her
possible.
back.
Yeah. And then at the apartment, Lucas arrives. Nathan asks him to help with the table. He's rearranging to have Haley,
Uh,
have room to practice for music.
that's a small table. Nathan definitely could have picked that up by himself.
Right, yeah. I think they just needed the guys to have something to do while they were talking, I guess, in the moment.
Yeah.
And then Lucas mentions that Haley told him he didn't get into high flyers after all. But Nathan admits he actually did get in, and Lucas tells Nathan he's been working, his whole life for this. He can't say no. Nathan tells Lucas he knows what it's like to hit a game winning shot. The whole crowd loves you. Everybody treats you like you're a star. He gets to feel that way every time he plays. He knows Lucas has felt it too. So now it's Haley's turn. And if he
Yeah.
goes to camp for 3 months, who knows where her head's going to be. He just wants her to feel like the thrill of the crowd. She deserves it.
Yeah. And then that's when Lucas was like, what about your future? And that's what I mean is they both should be going after their own dream.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was sweet that he said that he already knows his future's with Haley. But yeah.
Now, you don't know. You're 16. And then when you resent her in 10 years, no.
Mm-hmm. So the next scene is with Peyton. She's working on a sign that says electric. And she turns it on, but only the last 4 letters light up. So it says trick. So Payne likes it and says, "Welcome to Trick." So that's how they got the name of the place. But just then, Rick, the band manager, walks in, of
You.
course, and says he heard she's looking for bands. He supposes they're working together after all, and they'll be partying together too. And Payne like really looks scared, and she turns her back to look at the sign again. And then the next scene is where Brooke opens her door to find Mouse standing there with her behind the
This
dollhouse
was
behind him on the
so
ground.
cute.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even think Mouth was around when she was all upset about selling her dollhouse.
Right, yeah, I thought he
It
was
was
gone
just
by then.
Felix.
Mm.
I honestly thought Felix paid for it and made Mouth take it to her.
Isn't that what actually happened later on? We find out.
I don't know. That's why I thought that's what happened. I
Yeah,
thought because
like
Felix can't do it because that would mean he likes her.
yeah. So it was like they're kind of both getting what they wanted to do something nice for Brooke, but Brooke was getting the intention that it's the wrong guy that's actually doing it. But yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, Mouth wasn't even there. Because he said, I
Hmm.
know how much this meant to or means to you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you weren't even there. Felix was.
Yeah. Mal said that he got the address off the woman's check. But how,
Would Mouth?
yeah, because like,
Felix would because Felix left the bedroom early.
hmm
So,
yeah.
and Felix is sneaky.
Yeah. So that didn't make sense for Mal to say that.
No.
And then
And
Dan is
also, I didn't think that Mouth had $500 or however much he
right.
had
Yeah.
to
So
pay for it.
yeah. So definitely had to be Felix. And then Dan is in his car at the river court when someone from High Flyers calls him.
Oh my God. See, this made me mad because the guy was like telling him that Nathan, you know,
Turned it down.
And he got all mad, Dan did. And I was like, I didn't like it because it just proved it wasn't Nathan that worked hard. Like it was Dan's doing to get him
Pulling
in.
strings.
Yep. I didn't like it because once Nathan finds that out,
Yeah. So, so then technically his lie wasn't really a lie after all. He really
right.
didn't give in.
Technically, it was a mistake. It was called Dan.
Yep. So then, because Nathan said that he didn't want to be away from his wife. And Dan was looking at Nathan playing too at the river court. And he hangs up the phone and keeps watching Nathan. And the next scene is with Karen and Lucas on the swing on their front porch. And Karen tells Lucas she met somebody. Lucas says that's cool, so did he. And Karen says her person is younger than her, a lot younger.
It was funny. Well, okay, it was funny but creepy when he said, well, if he's younger than me, I'm not going to call him dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, first of all, you're 16. If she's with someone younger than you, that is disgusting.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, mommy's going to be in jail.
And then Karen gives Lucas his mail. And then the next scene, we see the frame of the newspaper article in Whitey's bag. He's walking towards the entrance of the hospital. So that was enough, to convince him to get the surgery. And then next, Lucas opens the envelope that says, thank you. So is that from Anna or?
I don't know.
Because
I didn't know either.
He didn't do anything for anybody else recently. So I think it had to be Anna, but
But he kind of pushed Coach.
Oh yeah, that had to be Whitey then. I couldn't figure out who did that. So yeah, it had to be Whitey. And then the shot fades out from Karen and Lucas to the stars.
So for me, the high was what was the high? Mouth. Not realistically. Giving the dollhouse to her.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe it, but he did it apparently. In this episode. And then the low to me was, I mean, I didn't like that Dan was behind the high flyers. I don't know. I mean, I didn't like that Peyton is going to be working with that Rick guy either.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I would say I like the dollhouse part too, but then also that now Peyton knows that Haley can sing, so this is a chance for her to do something with music. And I gotta admit, Chris is entertaining to watch, so he's, made the show interesting after this point. Well, first it was bad, but then after that it was just funny. And yeah, my low would be finding out that Dan was behind the high flyers.
Yep. And then I would rate this an 8. It was really hard because we went from the Dare episode to this one. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say an 8 too.
So for me, the worst character was oh God. Who's yours?
Worst is Dan because of the high flyers thing.
Oh, yep. Oh, and then for me, the best one was Lucas because he was helping people.
Yeah, and then he's messing with Deb too. My best was Nathan because he thinks he's making a sacrifice when he's not really, but either way, he's making a sacrifice to put Haley first for her dreams. So, and the next episode is episode 7, Let the Reins Go Loose.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.